everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Jennifer, and today is a sneak peek video. Today is going to be the Tom Ford Shade and Illuminate blushes. Now, I have 3 of the blushes. I have, I think, 01, 02, and 03. And I believe there are 6 shades. I feel like I saw 6 shades on somebody's channel, Instagram. It was either Chic Profile Official or Angel Naked One. I don't remember now. Maybe I imagined it. It's possible. I dreamed it. I don't know. But I swear there were 6 shades. So anyway, I have 3. If I am delusional, which again is always possible, you know, we'll find out soon because these should be released, or I'm being told they're released at the end of June. So, okay, so this is 1, 2, and 3. The first one is 01 Brazen Rose. Looks like this. And I will swatch it in a minute. Second one is Explicit Flush 02. Third one, 03, is Peach Poison. And by the time this goes up, if I can find that post wherever it was, you know, I'll make sure it's linked. I couldn't have imagined it. I mean, I guess I could have, but I don't think I did. Anyway, let's watch these. And the way that I've done this video, hopefully, if I've screwed it up somehow, I'll have a little like editing me pop up. But I've done swatches on my face on different days. I learned from my Chanel blush swatching video, I can't do it all at once. My skin just gets, it's just too irritated to take everything off and then try to put it back on. My skin, it's too sensitive and it was bad. Like it got red. It was, I won't get into it. It was just bad. So I did these on different days. I tried to wear the same face makeup. It's the Tom Ford Shade and Illuminate because I figured Tom Ford, this is all Tom Ford. And I used the Terra bronzer. So it should be the same face, but it is different days. And I'm sorry that I couldn't do it all in one day. It's like I said, my face is just too sensitive. I can't. So I'm gonna swatch them all for you now. I gotta clean off my hand because I don't know how I'm recording several videos at once and I don't know. I thought I got this all off, but obviously not. We'll swatch it all and then you'll see a video with the 01, video with the 02, and then we'll come back and I'll do the 03. And then we'll talk at the end about the formula and all that good stuff. So let's swatch. Let me wash my hand off. I was on a Zoom call the other day and I did something like this or something and I had like, people on the call were like, what's on your arm? I was like, oh, nothing. Nothing. I don't know how that got there. That's just so weird. All right, so let's talk a little bit about, so these are called Shade and Illuminate. I think that's just the name. And what I mean by that is like, I don't think one of these is an illumination product and one is a blush. I think they're just both blush. It says Shade and Illuminate Blush. So I just think they're both blush and they're just like illuminating. I don't know. I think maybe it's just the name. Okay, so that's 01. And the name of that one, Brazen Rose. So yeah, I think it's just become the Shade and Illuminate line. I don't, like there are products, older products that Tom Ford came out with that had like an illumination product and then like a bronzer or an illumination product and then a blush. I don't think these are that. I think both of these are blushes. I just think one is a lighter toned blush and one is a deeper toned blush in each, at least for the 3 that I have. making sure the camera is focusing on that. There we go. So that's 02 Explicit Flush. And then the last one I have, 03, and we'll get into formula at the end. I just wanna today, at first, go through the shades because these three are very different. Like I said, I could swear there are 6. I can swear, I can see, like there was a post and there were 6 of them and there were names, and maybe whoever put it up had to take it down because it was too early. I don't know, but I could swear there was a post. All right, so this is 03, and 03 is Peach Poison. So 01, 02, 03, and like I said, I swear there's 3 more. So I would say really quickly before we get into the face applications of these, they are sheerer than the full blushes that Tom Ford has come out with. I will pull those out when we go into 03 when I put it on my face after that and show you those in comparison. They are sheerer than the Tom Ford single blushes. They are sheerer than the new Pat McGrath blushes. Those are much more pigmented. These resemble more of a Chanel level pigment, old Chanel, not new Chanel. They are pigmented, don't get me wrong, you'll see them on my face. They're pigmented, but they're not as pigmented as the Tom Ford of old and the Pat McGrath. They do, however, and we'll get into formula at the end, they are really silky and they are really nice on the face. Spoiler alert, I love them. I'm very happy with them. But I am not someone who does a very pigmented blush. 1, I'm very pale. 2, this is just not my aesthetic. Like I'm not someone who does a really bright blush. You know, there's lots of people who love like huge, I just don't do that. So for me, I like these better than the other Tom Fords. But we'll get into that at the end when we do final thoughts. So I'm gonna now switch, hopefully, to the footage of me putting on the 01, then the 02, which again will be different days, and then we'll come back and we'll do the 03. So first we'll take the light shade and put it on this side, and then I'll take the deep shade and put it on this side, and then we'll put each over so you can see how both look. So we'll take the light shade first. I'll use the KZ03. This is the cheek and highlighter. So this is the light shade first. Okay, now let's take the deeper shade with the KZ04, put it on this side. And I don't have anything on my face right now other than foundation and a little bit of contour. Okay, so this is the light shade. I have it up a little higher. This is the deeper shade. Both, I really love these shades on me. I think they're really good. Now again, this is the 01 Brazen Rose. So it's a lighter, this is the lightest, I believe. Okay, so let's take the deeper shade and put it over. And I'm using a little bit more blush than I normally would, but I want you guys to see it. And then let's take the lighter and put it over the deeper shade here. Same formula. Super soft, really beautiful. with the lighter shade, the Illuminate shade first, so you can kind of see how this looks. So let's start with just sort of tapping this on. And I think you'll see, and I've used this blush before, by the way, in videos. I just didn't mention what it was. I think you'll see that it actually shows up quite pigmented on the face. It's just that it's not as pigmented as the other Tom Ford formula, at least from what I've been seeing. Okay. I absolutely do think, by the way, this is a flush color for my skin tone. It very much has that look like you were out in like cold weather. That's what it looks like on me. So it's very much, like I said, a peachy pink flush. Okay, so that's the shade. All right, then we're gonna take the Chikuhodo, this is the KZ04, and we're gonna take the highlighting shade. You see how easily that picked up pigment. So we're gonna tap it off. And I'm gonna go a little higher than I went with the cheek color here. Again, they're both cheek colors, but I'm gonna use this as sort of an illumination. And I'm gonna place it just like I did, same technique, okay? Now you can see, and then I'll buff. You can see this is a much lighter shade and doesn't show up very strongly on me. Okay, so we've got the two shades, one on each side. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in with the same brush and the pinky shade and go over this side, and we'll see how that looks. I didn't use a ton of product. I never do a super heavy blush look. It's just not my style. Mostly because my face flushes anyway, so I'm always just like, I don't need a ton of that. But I do love the shade. I feel like it gives a great flush to the skin. So that's what it looks like with the illumination shade, if you will, underneath, and then the blush shade on top. And then we'll do the illumination shade. Again, I'm not picking up a ton of product, trying to keep it somewhat light. And we're gonna go over this at the top here. Just lightly. And that's how it looks on that side. Okay, so hopefully if I did this right, you've already seen the 01 and the 02 on my face. Who knows? And if not, you will have seen something pop up from editing me. So now we're gonna go into the 03. And you'll know, by the way, that I did this in the other videos, I'm using the same brush, the KZ3 and the KZ4. So the KZ3, I'm using the lighter shade. And you can see, and I'll show you, like, look how much it picks up. There's a lot of blush on these things. So it's not like this is not, when I said it's less pigmented, yes, it's less pigmented, but it's pigmented, guys. It's not like it's not there. It's just, if you're comparing it to the Tom Ford singles of old, those were more pigmented. All right, so let me bring you in a little bit closer. And don't worry, I'm gonna pull out the other Tom Fords so you can see it. Let me pull my hair back so you can see it really well. I don't have a highlighter on, just bronzer. And we'll use the lighter shade. Now, I have been wearing these blushes in other videos, in posts. I was wearing it when I did the Dior cruise video. So I've had experience with these blushes. It's not like this is my first impressions video. I've had these for like some time. Okay, so I'm going in really lightly with this. Like, I am going super light, and I tapped most of it off. And I think you can see that's still pretty pigmented, and I didn't use a lot of it. Like, I really didn't. So I want to be really clear. Yes, they're not as pigmented as the other ones, but they're still really pigmented. I think you'll be happy with the pigment. But I think, as you saw in the swatches on my face, the 01 is much lighter. One of the shades, the pinker, the lighter shade, is actually very light. So if you're somebody who's very pale, or if you're just a deeper skin person who doesn't like a lot of blush, that most likely will be the lightest one. I don't know though, because I can't remember if there were 6 shades, and if there were, what the other 3 were like. But I'm gonna guess they're deeper, but maybe not. I don't know. This is what happens when you get things ahead of time and you don't know what they're doing, because Tom Ford hasn't told me. Anyway, so the 01 I think probably is the lightest shade, but it could just be the pinkest shade. I don't know. So let's take the deeper one, put it on this side. I really like the 01. It's my favorite of these 3, but that's just because for my aesthetic and like the shades I like. It's my favorite palette of these 3, but I'll tell you, this shade that I'm putting on now is actually one of my favorite shades. It's a little deep for me, but I really, really like it. This shade, and I showed you on my arm, is this one here. And it has that like pinky brown that I like. Now, I have to be careful with it, just because, like I said, for my aesthetic, I don't like a lot of blush. And I used very little there, and you can already see it's, I mean, you know, I'm pale. And it does have, I think, some illumination to it. I think they all do. I think all the blushes do. That's just my perspective. All right, so now we're gonna take the lighter shade on this brush and put it over this. So now you see both shades by themselves. They both work as blush, obviously. But I'm gonna take the lighter shade and go over the shade. And then we'll take the deeper shade and go over the lighter shade on this side. And, you know, the way, you know, color mixing works, if you put the lighter shade down first and the deeper shade over it, it's going to be a little bit lighter than the shade side that you put the deeper shade down first and then put the lighter shade over it. Same can be true like with a highlighter as well. You put a highlighter down first and then put a blush over it. It's gonna be more subtle than if you put the highlighter on over. I'm now at that point in my life, my age, where I put like, if there's like a line or something on my face, I go to like take it off because I think it's like a brush hair. And no, it's just a line on my face. Okay, so now we've seen all 3 shades, the 3 shades that I have on my face. Let's take out to the Tom Ford shades that I have. I have Savage and I have Inhibition. I believe both of these are discontinued. I would say Inhibition is most like, this is Inhibition. Inhibition is most like, of the ones I have, the rose shade, but you can see it's more pigmented. These two are kind of similar, but Inhibition still has more pink to it. And then Savage is a much deeper tone. It's a really unique shade. I'm very disappointed that they got rid of it, but that's Savage. And you can see with all of these 2 shades that they are more pigmented than the others. Savage is one of my favorites. It's a very bronzy pink shade. Has shimmer to it. It's really nice. So a couple of things about the feel of these versus the singles. So this is Inhibition. And a couple things just to note about the design. First of all, there's 1 shade in here, 2 shades in here. That's an obvious one. The amount of product, we've got 0.22 ounces in this and 2 shades. And then in the old one, we had 0.28 ounces and 1 shade. So obviously you're getting a lot less of 1 color in the new one, but you're getting 2 colors for a little less product. I'm not sure what these are gonna retail as, like the cost. I'm not sure what that's gonna be. The feel. The old formula literally felt super smooth, and it was like you're just running your finger over silk. The new formula has the same feel to it once you get past the cross-hatching. But you can see, and I just put like on my fingers, here is the new formula, here's the old Inhibition. You get, you know, the same amount of product. It picks up really well. It's very smooth, very silky, goes on beautifully, blends beautifully. I really, really like it. I think the formula is phenomenal. I think it stays really well. It works really well on mature skin. It looks really well on dry skin because it is silky, very silky. It feels silky on your hands. It feels silky in the pan. It feels silky on your face. But it is less pigmented than the Tom Ford from before. Like, just look at these two shades, Inhibition and Savage. Inhibition's a relatively light shade. Savage is a deeper shade. But, you know, in comparison to Inhibition to like the Rose or even the Flush, you know, or here, or the Peach, it just, it is less pigmented. I mean, they just are. They're sheerer. They're not sheer. I mean, it's not sheer, but it's a less pigmented blush than the Tom Ford of old. So I wanted to pull out a couple of other blushes while we're talking here. The new Pat McGrath, I figured I'd show you Divine Rose in comparison, just shade-wise, so you could see it. Let's put it, maybe what we'll do is we'll do it like this. And the the Pat McGrath blushes are more pigmented. They also feel less silky. They feel creamy, don't get me wrong. They have a beautiful texture, but they're not silky. See how easy that built up, like quickly? These don't really do that. I mean, you can build them up, but I'll put a little bit more of like the rose on my hand. I'll show you what I mean. You can build them, but not, they're more powdery. They're much more powdery. If you can see, I tried to build up this rose here. It's definitely buildable. You can definitely make it deeper. But these shades are, this formula is much more like a silky powdery, whereas the Pat McGraths are like a creamy, they almost feel like they could have cream in them. I mean, I know they don't, but they're heavier. It's not really what I'm not describing it correctly, but the Tom Fords are more airy and powdery. The Pat McGraths have like a creamier feel to them. All right, what other shade might work? Maybe Fleurette, so you can see it. Flirtation. Why do I keep calling it Fleurette? Flirtation. It's the shade here. You can see they're just more pigmented than the Tom Fords. Not the Tom Fords of old, but this new Shade and Illuminate. Hermes, let's take Rose Tan, because I do like that shade. Let's put it here. The Hermes feel more creamy actually than the new Tom Fords. The new Tom Fords, like I said, they feel more lightweight, silky, and powdery. This is the Hermes Rose Tan. The shades are more like these shades, but I think the Rose Tan has more of like an orange. But you can see they're more pigmented. The Tom Fords, again, are more, the Hermes has more of a creamy feel like the Pat McGraths. These feel, like I said, they're very airy, lightweight, powdery. But they do look really beautiful on the face. I mean, I love them. I'm just saying, what kind of formula you like. I also wanted to pull out Pillow Talk because it's, you know, Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk. It's pretty popular. That's Pillow Talk right there. Probably similar to the rose, the deeper rose shade. Let's see if I can build that up a little. It's not that they're not buildable, it's just because of the powdery nature of them, they're not as easy to build. That's Pillow Talk there. And then these are Pat McGrath, Hermes. Okay, I know you're gonna ask me, well, what about Chanel and Chanel blushes? So if we're talking about the old Chanel formula, the old Chanel formula is similar to this. It has that powdery but buttery, silky feel, and although not super pigmented enough and buildable. So it does remind me of the Chanel. The new Chanel, I think actually is less pigmented than these, and I don't like the feel of it as much. But like the old formula, for example, I'll pull out Malice, and the reason I'll pull out Malice is because it actually is a dupe for one of the shades in Explicit Flush. So this one here, this one, these two shades here, let's see if I can put it in the middle. You won't be able to tell the difference when I put it on. It's weird. It's like, oh, it looks exactly the same. See? Yeah, it's like the same shade as this shade in Explicit Flush. And it has, as you can see, a very similar opacity. And it has kick up. Like, it's got powdery kick up when you put it on. The thing I would say about the Malice is that it has Malice has a little bit more shimmer to it than the Tom Fords. The Tom Fords, I think they have some illumination to them, but they're not like full mattes, but they're not shimmery either. I wouldn't call them, I don't think they have like a shimmer to them. Like this shade here, the Savage, has a shimmer to it. The Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk has a shimmer to it. These don't have any shimmer in really any of the shades. They have an illumination, but they don't have a shimmer. And for more mature skin, you know, to be honest, that can be a good thing. You know, I'm just saying, if you like a very shimmery blush, there's nothing wrong with that. But as you get older, you know, I've mentioned this before, I have lines, I have texture. Something with shimmer in it isn't always what I'm looking for. So my final thoughts are, I really love these blushes. I think they're beautiful. I hope you will as well. I don't know if there's how many more shades there are, but my understanding there are more. And, you know, whenever they're released, this will go up either when I hear they're being released or when they're released, so you guys can at least see the shades for these three and hear about the formula and my thoughts about how it works. I am very impressed. I think Tom Ford did a really good job. I was very worried because there's weird stuff going on at Tom Ford right now. I don't know what's happening, but some products they're coming out with, like their eyeshadows and stuff, look like they've just retreaded everything from years past. And then I hear they're coming up with some things in the future that look really interesting. So I was worried. And you know, these are really good and I really like them. So those are my thoughts. If there's any other questions that you have, please put them in the comments below. I'll answer whatever I can. And I will be talking about these obviously in the blush battle that is coming up, which is why I've kind of been pushing it off, because I do want these to be included and I really can't do it until they're released. I could, but I mean, that doesn't seem fair. So that's it for today, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And I hope to see you in another video really soon.